Hello everyone, this is Andy Rosales here. I just wanted to answer the following prompts regarding to the questions of Know Your Program 3.2. So the first question brings up to me, what brought specifically me to my initial decision of going to the degree I have chosen, in which this is game design. The initial decision it brought up for me would be creativity. If you think about it clearly, what game was not creative in the sense of mechanics wise or balance? If there's no mechanics in a game or balancing, there would be no game at all. And the program director for this degree at Full Sail is Fernando de la Cruz. This is the program director for game design for the bachelor's. Now, the software and programming languages, what it refers to as the applications we're going to be using. Now, these are relatively highly expensive on a daily basis for us, at least. If for whatever reason, if I never knew about this anytime soon, but we're looking at Microsoft Project Pro, the Visio Pro of Microsoft, Microsoft Office 365, considering of three items, would be Word. Excuse me, I ate some food today. So we have Word, we have PowerPoint, and the last one would be OneNote. That's the one. So we have three major influences on what type of things we're going to be typing on. So this will come in very handy, I would say. No, scratch that. Because if we would be saying we're going to be using it as our advantage. And there's so much to customize as we use, as we go. And we get more ideas and imagination as we keep developing our thinking. The brain, the mind, as we say, it exceeds all expectations when you use it in a creative manner. You can use practically whatever's inside the brain as a universal tool. So now here comes the next question of, from my research, what degree skills do I think I would need to focus on and why? Now this is a question relatively difficult to answer. So the research and degree skills you would mainly need is I'm sorry. So you would really develop into it, skills in it would be learning to use a code or a sort of type maneuverability so you can develop a game. So if you think about it clearly, if, for example, like a mathematical equation, if you have 2 divided by 2 just equals by 1, so now use one variable, just one. Let's say you have a bullet, only one bullet, divided from 2. The magazine has two bullets to carry in. Divide by 1. One bullet each goes inside. Now you have only 2 bullets. You use 1, that's subtracted by 1. You have 1 out of 2. Use another one, you have 0 out of 2. Stuff like mathematical, physics, and such. But the skills itself, focusing on, would be rather not overthinking it so much. Why do I think I shouldn't overthink so much? Because it's all there. It's simplicity that needs to go through. The more simple it is to make it for yourself or someone, it makes the whole world a better place. Sometimes it'll be complications, sometimes it'll be complex, but in reality, we just keep the flow going. You keep working. You find the results when you specifically test it yourself or have someone else test it and give you the feedback. Next question was, what do you think would be the hardest classes that you would run into? And why do I personally think it would be difficult for me? Yes, this is the question I'd rather get into full detail in, because the hardest class you can take right now is coding and mechanics and balance. For example, let's say we have a stickman, for example, and you want to, put in a code for him running or such. You would have to draw out a map, outline, or a grid of some sort, animate it so that way you can have this creativity of life. Within the life, you need a trajectory. The trajectory itself is your physics, your coding, what allows it to animate itself. But mind you, we're using 3D software. So let's be pretentious about it. And as we create something that wants to come to life, it needs, I don't want to say passion or love, it just needs a well thought out plan. From the plan itself, you need a difficult level of understanding. So that difficulty would be, for me, would be, why wouldn't it be difficult for me? Why do I think it's difficult? Because at times when I was in school, I would always overthink a solution. People would make fun of you for it, but hey, there's nothing wrong with it. Failure sometimes leads to success after many failures into trying until you get your successful result. That's what I think. Why would be difficult for me? In other words, I'm walking and my head comes off like out of random. Maybe there was a implemented code error. For example, like, this is my head, my whole body's right here. I'm running towards, just like a random blank wall and such. And you would have, your head come off for some somewhat of odd reason. Now that's where you find your graphical issue error. Maybe, like I said, a code error or such. Maybe it wasn't well developed to stick to the alignment of, the polygons. So, the next one would be, what do I think would be the easiest class to run into and why? If you get down something very easily, would be mapping out a level design mainly. You can outwit and think of all the things we have encountered in life, whether it's a forest, a desert, oceans, skies, caves, any natural environment. And if you give it like a structural meaning, you can bring anything to life in this point, like a battlefield or some sort of dwelling or a civilization or infinite resources of such. It just causes so much imagination to come out of your mind and use it. There's no other way to explain creativity and imagination into one. And that's where this game design comes in. Now, how would I go in succeeding in these hard classes? What can I do now to help prepare for them? What I can do personally is not overthink, because it does give me a bit of a headache here and there. So if you take time to well think, no, well plan out your resources, your designs, your creativity, everything you will need is in here. If you practice using your mind, your brain, it will start sending you out images, messages, or whatever your brain can think of to, you know, get that well thought out gear going on. Think of it as a gear right here. This is a gear. Once that gear starts working on, all of the information goes in or out, but it needs to be stays as a gear inside here and eternally placed in here. If you get my meaning. So all I'm trying to explain is I need to prepare myself to use my imagination, creativity, and be aware of the adaptabilities that we can all change, modify, or create certain things or aspects, mechanics. It all matters into one major development project. How would I break down time to make sure I succeed in my classes? That's a good question. Resources, tutoring, help, all of that can help benefit anyone. They are invaluable resources. Without any help from mentors or contacts, people or engineering, mechanics, people that allow a new door to open up. Breaking down everything to make sure all this time you have invested is not wasted. It just needs to have a set of life. And if it wasn't for so much that has happened throughout these pandemic, I probably would have, had a better understanding of how it would be for using more of a intelligent form of response to use into succeeding what has failed, and you can improve what you can do. And it's hard, but every day I always think to myself, break down your time by studying, getting help, look at your resources, find resolutions. Within time, you can do whatever you are really passionate about, what you love. This is Andy Rosales signing off.